Imagine every single breath you take is quietly shaping your future, not just your lungs, but your brain, your energy, even your lifespan. And what if the air you breathe matters far more, moment to moment, than the food you eat? You probably spend time thinking about food, what to eat, what to avoid, what's healthy, what's not. But here's something strange: you can survive weeks without food, days without water, but without air. Just a few minutes and everything stops. So let's pause for a second. Right now, without thinking, your body is pulling in air about 20 zalozen times a day. Each breath carrying invisible molecules, into your lungs oxygen, yes, but also dust, pollution, chemicals, even microscopic particles you can't see. And here's the surprising part: your body doesn't filter air nearly as carefully as it processes food. When you eat something harmful, your digestive system fights back. It breaks things down, neutralizes toxins, sends signals of discomfort. But when you breathe, air goes almost directly into your bloodstream. No taste, no warning, no second chance. It's like having a door to your body that's always open, and you don't even notice what's walking in. Think of your lungs like millions of tiny balloons called alveoli, each one exchanging gases with your blood. Oxygen goes in, carbon dioxide comes out. Simple, elegant, but also incredibly fragile. Now imagine those balloons slowly filling with invisible dust, smoke, pollutants from cars, factories, even indoor air from cooking or poor ventilation. Over time, that clean exchange starts to struggle. Oxygen delivery drops, inflammation rises. Your body begins to feel tired, not suddenly, but quietly. You might think, but I eat healthy, that should protect me, right? Not exactly. Even the best diet cannot fully compensate for poor air, because oxygen isn't just fuel. It's the spark behind every single process in your body. Your brain alone uses about 20% of your oxygen. Every thought, every memory, every decision powered by what you breathe. So if your air is slightly worse, your thinking becomes slightly slower, your energy slightly lower, your sleep slightly disturbed. Not enough to notice in a day, but enough to change your life over years. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. Breathing isn't just about what's in the air. It's also about how you breathe. Fast, shallow breathing, like when you're stressed, actually reduces oxygen efficiency. It throws off the balance of gases in your body. But slow, deep breathing, it calms your nervous system, improves oxygen flow, and even changes your mental state. In a way, every breath is like a message to your body. Rushed breaths say, something is wrong. Slow breaths say, you're safe. Now think about modern life. We spend most of our time indoors, breathing recycled air, surrounded by screens, traffic stress, rarely stepping outside into clean, open environments. It's almost like we've forgotten that air is not just empty space. It's an active part of our biology. What you breathe becomes you. The oxygen becomes your thoughts. The air becomes your energy. The invisible becomes deeply physical. And yet we rarely question it. We question food labels, calories, ingredients. But when was the last time you questioned the air around you? When was the last time you stepped outside, took a slow, deep breath, and actually felt it? Because maybe the most important thing you consume every day isn't on your plate. It's already inside you. So the next time you breathe, ask yourself quietly, if every breath is shaping my future, what kind of future am I breathing in? Imagine you wake up in the morning, take your first breath, and without realizing it, you've already influenced how your entire day will feel, your focus, your mood, your energy, all decided before your first sip of tea, before your first bite of food. Because breathing isn't just survival, it's control. Let's go deeper. Inside your body, oxygen is not simply oozed, it is transformed. Every cell takes that oxygen and turns it into energy through a process scientists call cellular respiration. It's like millions of microscopic engines firing at once, keeping you alive. But here's the twist: those engines don't just need oxygen. They need clean, balanced, efficiently delivered oxygen. And that depends entirely on your breathing. Think about a fire. If you give a fire clean, steady oxygen, it burns bright and stable. But if the air is smoky, blocked, or inconsistent, the flame flickers, weakens, struggles. Your body works the same way. Now imagine your brain as that flame. Every idea you have, every emotion you feel is powered by this invisible fire. And when your breathing is shallow, polluted, or chaotic, that flame becomes unstable. You might feel anxious, but not know why. You might feel tired, even after resting. You might struggle to focus even when nothing is distracting you, and you blame sleep, or food, or motivation. But what if the real cause is the way you breathe? Here's something even more surprising. Your breathing is one of the very few systems in your body that is both automatic and controllable. Your heart beats on its own. Your digestion runs silently, but your breath you can take over anytime. That means you hold a direct switch to your own nervous system. Slow your breathing and your heart rate slows. Deepen your breath and your brain receives a signal. Everything is okay. Hold your breath briefly and your body becomes alert, focused. It's like having a hidden control panel built into your chest. Now think about stress. In stressful moments, your breathing becomes fast and shallow. This tells your body there is danger, even if there isn't. Over time, this pattern becomes your default, and your body lives in a constant state of low-level alarm. But the reverse is also true. If you consciously slow your breath, even when nothing changes around you, your body begins to relax. Your mind clears. Your focus sharpens. No pill. No external change, just air moving differently. And yet we ignore it. We chase energy through food, caffeine, and shortcuts while ignoring the one thing we do 20,000 times a day. Now picture two people. One eats perfectly healthy food but lives in polluted air, breathes shallowly, rarely steps outside. The other eats average food, but spends time in fresh air, breathes deeply, stays calm, aware of every breath. Who do you think feels more alive? The answer isn't as obvious as we've been taught, because food builds your body, but breath runs it. One is structure, the other is flow. Without structure, you weaken over time, but without flow, everything stops. And maybe that's the quiet truth we overlook. Health is not just what you eat once or twice a day, it's what you breathe every single second. So the next time you feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed, don't rush to fix it with something external. Pause. Close your eyes. Take one slow, deep breath and feel it fully as it enters, expands, and leaves. Because in that simple moment, you're not just breathing. You're resetting your entire system. And maybe the real question isn't just what you breathe, but whether you're truly aware of it at all. Imagine that with every breath you take, you are not just inhaling air, you are exchanging information with the universe, a silent conversation between your body and the world around you. Because breathing is not just chemistry, it's communication. Every inhale brings in oxygen, yes, but every exhale releases carbon dioxide, and that balance between the two quietly controls the rhythm of your life. Too much carbon dioxide, and your body feels suffocated. Too little, and something equally strange happens. Your blood vessels tighten, oxygen delivery becomes less efficient, and your brain begins to feel restless, uneasy, even anxious. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? Breathing more can sometimes give you less oxygen where you need it most. This is why when people panic, they breathe faster, yet feel like they can't breathe at all. Because it's not just about how much air you take in, it's about how your body uses it. Now think about this. Your blood carries oxygen using tiny molecules called hemoglobin. But hemoglobin doesn't just release oxygen automatically. It responds to carbon dioxide levels, to pH, to balance. It's like a delivery system that only unlocks when the conditions are right. And those conditions are shaped by your breathing. So in a very real sense, the way you breathe determines how much oxygen actually reaches your brain, your muscles, your cells. Not just how much you inhale, but how much is delivered. Now let's step into a simple thought experiment. Imagine two identical rooms. In the first room, the air is clean, fresh, moving naturally. In the second room, the air is stale, trapped, slowly filling with invisible particles. You place the same person in both rooms, give them the same food, the same water, the same sleep. Do they feel the same? Of course not. In one room, their mind feels clear, their body light. In the other, something feels off, heavy, slow, like a quiet fog settling inside them. That something is the air, and now realize most of us spend our lives somewhere between those two rooms. Not completely polluted, not perfectly clean, just enough to slowly shape how we feel, think, and live. And here's the part that almost feels philosophical. You cannot stop breathing to avoid bad air. You cannot pause it while you decide. You must keep breathing, no matter what, which means the quality of what you breathe is constantly becoming a part of you, whether you choose it or not, so awareness becomes everything. Opening a window, stepping outside, pausing for a deep breath instead of rushing through shallow ones, choosing environments that allow your body to function the way it was designed to. These are small actions, but repeated thousands of times, they become your life, because your life is not built in big dramatic moments. It is built in tiny, invisible repetitions, a breath repeated 20,000 times a day, a pattern repeated for years. A habit shaping your biology without asking for permission, and slowly, quietly, that becomes who you are. So maybe the real mystery isn't whether air matters more than food. Maybe the real mystery is why we've ignored something so constant, so essential, so deeply connected to every moment of being alive. Because right now, as you listen to this, you are breathing. You have always been breathing. And you will keep breathing every second until your very last moment. So let me ask you something. If every breath is a choice you didn't realize you were making, what would change if you finally became aware of it? Imagine that the air around you is not empty at all, but a vast, invisible ocean, and with every breath you are diving into it, pulling pieces of that ocean into your body, letting it become your blood, your thoughts, your very sense of being alive. Now imagine swimming in two different oceans. One is clear, pure, untouched, every movement feels effortless. The other is polluted, heavy, filled with particles you can't see, every movement slightly harder, every moment subtly draining. You wouldn't need anyone to explain the difference. You would feel it. And yet, when it comes to air, we rarely notice, because the changes are not dramatic, they are quiet, gradual, almost invisible. A little less focus today, a little more fatigue tomorrow, a little more stress next week. Nothing alarming, but everything accumulating. This is how breathing shapes your life, not in sudden events, but in slow transformations. Now let's go even deeper. Inside your body, oxygen doesn't just create energy, it also creates byproducts. Tiny reactive molecules that in controlled amounts are useful, but in excess can damage your cells. Your body balances this constantly, like a careful tightrope walk. Clean air, calm breathing, the balance holds. Polluted air, stressed breathing, the balance begins to slip. Over time, this imbalance can quietly influence aging, inflammation, even how your immune system responds to the world. So in a strange way, every breath is not just fueling you. It is also shaping how you age. Faster or slower, stronger or weaker, clearer or more clouded. And the most fascinating part, you are both the observer and the participant. You don't just live in your environment, you continuously become it. The air outside becomes the air inside. The outside world becomes your internal world. There is no clear boundary. Now think about a moment when you stood somewhere peaceful, maybe early morning, cool air, silence, a gentle breeze. You take a deep breath and something shifts instantly. Your shoulders relax, your thoughts slow down, your mind feels lighter. Nothing else changed, not your problems, not your responsibilities, just the air and the way you took it in. That moment reveals something powerful. You don't always need to change your entire life to feel different. Sometimes you just need to change the way you breathe within it. And yet, we are taught to search for solutions outside ourselves. Better food, better routines, better systems. All important, yes, but incomplete. Because the most constant influence on your body is something you rarely question. Air doesn't wait for your attention. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply becomes you breath by breath. So the real shift begins with awareness, not forcing anything, not overcomplicating, just noticing. Noticing the quality of the air around you, noticing the rhythm of your breath, noticing how different you feel when you slow down even slightly. because awareness turns an automatic act into a powerful choice. And once something becomes a choice, it can become a tool to calm your mind, a tool to sharpen your focus, a tool to reconnect with the present moment when everything else feels out of control. And maybe that is the quiet truth hidden in something so simple. You don't just live because you breathe. You live how you breathe. So as this moment passes and your breath continues as it always has, ask yourself gently, if something so small, so constant, so invisible holds this much power, what else in your life have you been overlooking simply because it never stopped?